So we're sitting down for a few minutes here with the superintendent of schools for our district, Dr. Segura, just to get to know a little more about her and to get caught up with how this first year has gone for her. So just a few of the basics first, Dr. Segura. You're from Santa Fe, correct?
I am, yes. Born and raised in Santa Fe.
So where did you go to high school? And then after that, where did you earn your degrees that we see here on the wall?
Right, so I graduated from Capitol High School in Santa Fe, and you know, it's just weird how life happens that I ended up getting my first teaching job there as well in the freshman academy, and I was so excited, and it was a very challenging year, but I was an English teacher as well as an avid elective teacher, and that's the college and career readiness program that they just started at the high school. So I was the first avid teacher as well, and so taught there, and ended up working on my administrative certification, and after 7 years I became the assistant principal, and then was placed as principal. So I had a very unique situation where I was able to teach and lead at the same high school where I attended and graduated from. So it was a very special experience that I will keep close to me forever.
I would think that's kind of unique well, maybe not unique, but unusual in the state too.
Unusual.
For that. So you've just come right up through the ranks, and now superintendent for the last year.
Yes.
So okay, you've got a daughter that's going to be a junior and a son that'll be an incoming freshman this coming school year. So how are Cole and Nevada adjusting to life and school here in Sierra County?
Right. The kids, I say kids, they're probably going to get upset at me calling them kids. My teens, they love it here, and that was a huge piece for me and their father, was to make sure that they were happy. Their happiness, that they're being challenged. They came from a school in Santa Fe, a charter school, where it was very rigorous, very high expectations, and so I wanted to make sure that that they were going to get the same thing here, and they have had nothing but positive feedback for me. I know being the superintendent's kids is not an easy task, because people are constantly have an opinion or want, I know Nevada is like, oh, people come up to me and say, Mom, or come up to me and say, you should tell your mom that we should do this, you should tell your mom, and she's like, well, she has an email and a phone number, you can call her and communicate that with her as well. So Nevada and Cole have done a great job in navigating those waters, and they have built some really great friendships and have been involved. Nevada was involved in volleyball this year, which she had never done in the past. So this was new and exciting for her. And Cole participated in track, and so he had never done that before. So they put themselves out there, and they've had really positive experiences. They are both tennis players, and we don't have a tennis team here.
Yeah.
So that has been quite a challenge for them as well. But they're continuing to practice at the Gene Spears tennis courts, and we have a nice group of individuals who play tennis with us on Saturdays, and that has been great. And our hope is that we'll be able to eventually build a tennis program here, because tennis is a great sport, a lifelong sport, and is good for all kids, all ages, all adults, all ages.
Very good. So they weren't opposed to the move.
No.
Good. So when did you realize that you wanted to work in education, where you wanted to work with kids and help kids?
Some people say they didn't realize they wanted to be a teacher, until later in life, but ever since I was in, first grade, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. And I loved school. I loved being in the classroom. When my mom and dad would get us our school supplies, I would lay them out on my bed and just was in love with the whole concept of schooling. Loved the way my crayons smelled, all of that stuff. And so it was very exciting getting everything ready. My dad, at his construction job, he had a chalkboard, and so I would put empty buckets, and those would be my students. And I would do arithmetic and spelling, and I would have my bell set, and all of that. And I just pretended I played school. And so just knew that I wanted to be a teacher. I didn't know what grade levels, I didn't know any of that until my senior year. And I didn't even know that I really wanted to go to college until my senior English teacher asked me about it. And she said, you know, you're a really great writer. Where are you going to go to college? And I said, well, I don't know. She said, well, what do you mean you don't know? And have you applied? Have you taken your ACT? And both answers were no. Wow. So she literally grabbed me by my arm, walked me down the hall to my counselor and said, she has not applied for college. She has not taken her ACT. How? Why? Get her on the path she needs to go to college. So the counselor found me a scholarship, got me, you know, on the right path. I was accepted to the University of New Mexico. And she inspired me so much because she obviously cared enough to push me in that trajectory. And she was my senior English teacher. So I decided I wanted to be a high school English teacher. And she told me, don't major in education. If you're going to be an English teacher at the secondary level, you want to major in your content. So I was an English major. And I was also, I danced. I love to dance. And so I was taking dance classes. I took ballet and modern and flamenco dance classes at the University of New Mexico. And my advisor pulled me in one day and said, you have enough credits. If you just take a few more classes, you can double major. So I double majored with English and dance. And my parents were like, what are you going to do with these two majors? And I said, well, I'm going to be a teacher. Well, you need your teaching credentials. So immediately after I graduated with my bachelor's, I got my master's in secondary education at the University of New Mexico and began teaching and loved it.
That's
Still
great.
love it.
Now, have you ever taught dance?
I have not taught dance.
Okay.
I was a cheer coach for many years at Capitol High School and loved that. But you know, one of my dreams was to have my own dance studio, but for adults, because I know that as adults we sometimes lose that outlet, and that dance is such a great outlet, and you know, anything that can get you moving, get your endorphins flowing, and where you can connect and communicate with people through other means besides words. And so I always wanted to have my own adult dance studio to just have a working mom on her lunch break come and take an improv class or a modern class or a jazz class and just have fun.
So are you looking at buildings here in town yet? Or?
No. No, I think that, you know, performing arts is something that is important to me, and, you know, much like athletics, but anytime students and adults are active, I always find that their lives are much more happy and resilient.
So there's a door open for maybe a drama program at the...
I would love for that to happen. And I know I've spoken with some people in the community who said we were supposed to have a performing arts center built at the high school. Yeah. Obviously, that all costs money. And so in looking at, you know, our bond monies, whenever, you know, we go out for bond elections, I just encourage all of our community to vote and to put our kids at the forefront of their vote. I can't tell you how to vote, but you know, think about how the impact can be on our kids, and I think that that's very important to their well-being.
That's the new motto: students first.
Yes.
So what are the schools doing right now to put students first? What programs, what things are you implementing?
Right.
To
so
forward
I've carried that philosophy with me since I became a principal. And what I realized is that within our public education system, we have systems, circumstances where adults put their needs first, put their wants first. For example, in a master schedule will make or break a school. It's one of the most important pieces of a school. So when you look at a master schedule, it's not about, oh, this teacher wants this prep, or this teacher wants to teach this class. We had to flip it to say, we're gonna have the kids choose what they want, what they need, and then we're gonna place it up there and see, does it work? And I have no problem working with adults to say, if it can work out, great, but if it doesn't, it's because a kid's needs came first. And so that's an example. Some individuals like to teach certain classes, but if the students aren't requesting that class and it doesn't make, then we can't teach it.
Yeah.
So it's those kind of tough, difficult decisions. Okay. Some teachers like to either have the first part of the day be their prep or that last part of the day be their prep, and sometimes that just doesn't work out. But again, it's, we're looking at our strategic plan as well, and we have 5 strategic goals, and all of it is surrounding what is going to be best for our students and how to build them up, how to provide opportunities for college and career readiness, looking at social, emotional, and mental wellness, all of those things, relationships and culture. I want our students and our families to be excited to send their kids to school, to feel welcomed in every single school that they walk into, and to know that their kids are going to have options. And when their kids graduate, they get to choose. Do I want to go to college? Do I want to go into the military? Do I want to get a job? Do I want to take a year off and travel? That they'll be able to have the skills and the knowledge to make that decision for themselves. I want to get away. I know when I first got here, a lot of what I heard was, oh, our kids can't do this, or our kids aren't going to college, or we only have a small group of kids who want to, go into college and careers. And I push back and say, says who?
Yeah.
Says us, because these are kids. It's our job to make sure that we're bestowing upon them the knowledge, the skills, the opportunities, opening those doors for them, much like my English teacher did for me that day. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Right.
So for me, every kid deserves every opportunity, regardless of who they are, where they come from, what their skill set is, and maybe they don't have that desire right now, and maybe they're acting out and their behaviors are horrible and they're skipping school and they're not doing good in their classes. For now, how do we provide that kid with supports to fill in those deficits on why they're behaving that way, why they're not trying, so that they can realize that they do have something to work for. That's my vision.
Okay, so now just jumping back. So there you are in Santa Fe. Great job. Young family.
Yeah.
The area full of culture, full of opportunities. Why Sierra County? Why here?
So my husband Matthew and I have spent much time growing up here at Elephant Butte Lake, and have many amazing, wonderful memories here at the lake with our families. And separately, we've always known each other since we were young. We've known each other since kindergarten, but we didn't start kind of hanging out until our junior year of high school. And so we started coming here pretty frequently during the summers, and his uncle Roger has a place in Monticello, so we would stay with Uncle Roger. And the kids were young and they loved coming to the lake, and so Matthew and I said, well, let's look around and see, maybe we can find a place here that can be our getaway. So we contacted Kathy Vickers and said, Kathy, we are interested in looking around to see what is available, and here's our price range. We don't know what we'll find. And so we went to a few places and nothing of interest, and she said, well, I have another place, but it's a little out of your price range. And I'm like, oh great, this is gonna be the one. And yep, it was the one. So we found a great double wide and shop, and we ended up coming here at least 2 times a month. And that was almost 5 years ago.
Oh, gee, okay.
So the kids, we just always, we yearned to be here. You know, we love Santa Fe. Santa Fe has its own unique, you know, feel, and that will always be kind of our, you know, where we were born and raised. But Santa Fe has also evolved and changed and is not the same city that, you know, we remember it to be. And we just went with our gut. And, you know, every time we would exit off of the highway onto exit 83 to come to our lake house, we were just so elated, all of us. We were so happy. We were not stressed. And we were like, is that God telling us something? And so just one, you know, I was very happy in my job. And one evening, we were eating dinner at the golf course, and Derek Bean was there, and he said, you know, our superintendent position just became available. You should apply. And I looked at him and I said, oh yeah, that would be interesting. And so we kind of laughed it off, and Matthew was like, Channell, that's like your dream job. Like, we love it here, and you know, that would be great. You should apply. And I was like, are you kidding me? Our lives are in Santa Fe. Our kids are in school. They're thriving. You have your business. You're thriving. Like, you know, it just doesn't make sense. And so he said, well, just apply. Maybe you'll get an interview. Maybe you won't. Go through the process. Like, it doesn't hurt to go through the process. Sure. So I said, okay. So I applied. And then I was just feeling like, what am I doing? You know, why would I waste their time? So I withdrew my application and just said, it just doesn't seem feasible right now. That's uprooting my whole family to do something completely different. And I was at the New Mexico School Board Association conference in Santa Fe, and board president Brett Smith was there, and he walked up to me. I didn't know who he was, and he said, are you Channell Segura? And I said, yes. He said, why did you withdraw your application for superintendent? And of course, my current boss was sitting right next to me, and I was like, can we go talk somewhere? And so we went aside, and he said, well, you know, and I told him all my reasonings, and he said, no, I understand, but I think you should reconsider. And so that just kind of stuck with me. And that night I went home and told my husband and kids, and they said, can we talk to you too, Mom? And I said, sure. And they said, we think you should apply. And we would love to move to Elephant Butte. And I was like, what? I said, you guys would be going to a completely different school, new friends. They don't have your tennis program. Like, you know, 3 hours away from the rest of your friends and family. What? And all of them sat and said, we think you should do it. And if you get it, we would be excited to move over there. We're happy over there.
Wisdom of children.
So there I went and asked if I could resubmit my application. I was able to. I got the interview and got the phone call and said, would you be willing to come here? And I said, yes, but only if you give me a 3-year contract, not a 2-year, because I'm not moving my whole family for a 2-year contract. So they did, and it has been such a wonderful, though challenging, very wonderful experience. And I have to say the people are what make this community what it is. And everyone has been kind and thoughtful, and I just feel extremely fortunate to be where I am.
All right. Well, speaking of challenges, you're just finishing up your freshman year here.
Yes.
So how's that been? Are there lessons you've learned, things you can take away from surviving, basically, the getting thrown in, not just the deep end, but the shark-infested deep end of the pool
Right.
This first year?
So when I interviewed and accepted the position, it was in March.
Mm-hmm.
Soon after that, the world shut down, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what this was going to be like. And I think my strengths are that I'm organized I like to plan out things well so that, you know, things run smoothly, and I feel like my hands were handcuffed all school year. And that was really difficult for me to not have control over certain things. And, you know, I looked at it as, yes, this was my first year, so it was difficult, but I didn't know any better. I couldn't compare it to another year as superintendent because
Wow.
I've never experienced another year as superintendent. So I feel almost like it was a blessing to have to navigate being a superintendent during a global pandemic, because I had to really put my skills to the test and put my priorities to the test. Everybody's lives on a personal, professional, mental level had been, you know, turned upside down. And coming in, being someone from outside of this community, my goal was to meet as many people as possible, to learn as much as possible from, you know, the people in the community and the values and what supports were needed. And I think the most difficult thing for me was that I was not able to get to know the students as well as I wanted to, because that is why I even entertained coming back into the setting of, you know, of the K-12 school system. I miss the kids, and you know, just that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, it's
And,
apparent every time you're out there in the
yes,
schools, you
out
see
in the
it
schools
interacting
and
with students.
interacting with students, and you know, that didn't happen. And so I was able to meet students through my own kids and their friends and athletics and activities, but it was not at the same level that I'm used to. So that was a big deal for me. So I'm really excited and crossing my fingers and hoping that we're going to be able to start this school year off. I can say normal, but I don't know that we're ever going to have a normal again, or if that what we had was normal. So I'm just hoping that our kids can be in school, that our teachers can be in school, that we will be safe, and that we will thrive under whatever conditions that we're placed under. But what I do feel is that we are much more positioned and experienced to respond to any type of challenge that comes our way.
Yeah, we know we can do it.
Yes, because we are tigers.
Yeah. So, last thing. On those rare moments of downtime that you get, I assume you'll enjoy the lake and apparently the tennis courts,
Yes.
but just around town, are there any favorite haunts you like to go to, restaurants, or, you know, places you like to spend a bit of time and enjoy?
Yes. I mean, we love to go to Johnny B's, especially for breakfast. We'd always, you know, when we'd visit, we would go there and got to meet John and Jackie and the family, and everyone is, again, just so nice and welcoming. And Alfaro is a great place to get, you know, our chili fix.
Yeah.
I do have to say, though, I have not had very spicy chili that I'm used to. My family and I are used to pretty spicy chili, and so it's been a little different. It's pretty mild here. We did go to Hatch and get, you know, our own chili and bagged it up so that we can make chili at home. But no, that's great. And we go to the lake as much as possible. We have a boat, and our friends, you know, love it here as well. And our friends have even purchased homes here, so they come and visit and get to stay, you know, at their lake house, and we all go out and just try to enjoy, and it's just beautiful. It's beautiful here. The air is clean. The landscape is amazing. We just went on a vacation as a family to Las Vegas, Nevada, and we're so happy to come home.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for spending a little time with us.
Thank you.
I think, you know, maybe not everybody in the community, but I think most people here are pretty darn glad that you're here.
Yeah.
And speaking just as somebody that covers sports in the schools, I'm very glad that your son and your daughter are here too.
Yes.
They're a good addition to the Tiger family, and so are you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.